Hello, my name is Alexander Morari, and you've tuned to our ITKeyMedia podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. And our guest today is Maido Janke, the co-founder of Eziil. Eziil is a SaaS developer for production and manufacturing companies. It's, as you call yourselves, it's a magic ingredient in bringing rising megatrends such as robots, CNC-based machines, big data, and Industry 4.0 together in one intelligent platform. Tere õhtust.
Tere õhtust. It sounded very well. So you should be in Estonia, actually.
Yeah, I've interviewed and spoke to so many Estonian founders. I think I'm already half Estonian, so I should get the citizenship, or at least we'll go easily through the process. Now, Maido, tell me, let's start with the name itself, because Eziil, just as we discussed right before this podcast recording, that it sounded to me like a biblical or definitely some legendary character. What's the history behind the name of the company, which is not usual, right?
Yeah, it's not really usual. The name actually comes from Estonian mythology, whereas in Estonian mythology there is a great hero called Kalevipoeg. He's like a savior of Estonian nation, protector, like really like the tough guy, like a Avenger or something like that. So for Estonians. So he has in one point one challenge where he has to actually go and bring wood to Estonians to build up the country. So he goes to Finland, bringing wood with him, like on the shoulder and coming. He's a really tall guy. He has a lot of timber on his shoulder and he's coming like that. And on the way there is a monster who wants to fight with Kalevipoeg. So Kalevipoeg takes this heavy logs and put it down to earth and takes first log and rips it to that monster. The monster actually, the wood breaks and the monster don't die. Let's say it that way. He takes the second and then third and etc. And in the end, he's like looking like all my material will be broken. I cannot get further. I break my material. I cannot beat the monster. What's going on? And there is a small hedgehog in the bushes and saying that, Kalevipoeg, change your approach, change the wood that way, and then rip it. And Kalevipoeg wins the monster, and he's like happy. And this is the point that change your approach, and you can get the different results.
Great history. Where is Eziil in this story?
Eziil is like Estonian hedgehog is like seal. In Estonian is like seal, so it's relation with that.
So it connotates with the hedgehog, right? So the small, smart, changes, actions that could change, or ideas that could change
your outcome.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Interesting.
It's like saving your production environment.
And you would say everybody knows this story in Estonia, right?
Yeah, Estonia, everybody knows that story, but nobody actually don't know that Eziil stands like coming from that actually, like because it's a bit like how to say free translation from that.
Okay. But you see the connection, and that gave you a pretty much outstanding name of the company that is standing out, right? And for all the founders that are wrecking their brains how to name a company, which is increasingly more and more difficult right now, I think this is actually a good approach.
We was in that trap in the early beginning because Eziil is a spin-off from another company. We actually created first versions of production software. And then what happened was this, that we didn't know how to call the system that we created. So people started to call it, when they open Eziil, there is one menu coming in right side, and on top of menu is called module. So people started to call that module. And then I said to founders that now stop, we cannot do that way, that people just invent the name, because we are not deciding and not taking responsibility, naming ourselves. So then we named it to Eziil. But it was a challenge because try to find .com name which is free.
Oh yeah.
It's a challenge.
Happy, yes, of course. And by the end, somewhere by the end of the conversation, we will make a conclusion whether or not Eziil will become a household name for this space, right? Like Google, Hoover, and all of that, or to Chat GPT. I don't know. This is quite recent craze on the internet. By the way, Chat GPT, have you tried it already? Like how much time? No, you haven't. Okay. Then open. I mean, you will make a discovery, quite a discovery for yourselves. But let's be original and not to discuss Chat GPT now. Let's move on. Now, tell me please. So Eziil, so you mentioned the history of the name of the company and the product, but now what exactly are you doing and how are you helping the industry 4.0 wave kind of increasing its reach and strength and so on?
So what you need to understand from production point of view, the industry 4.0 is basically like vision, mission, let's say it that way. It's fully digital factory. But if you look actually at reality, it's absolutely something different. Usually people work with a lot of Excels. They have some type of MRP or ERP or some type of, this is the best case if they have MRP or ERP. Usually they have Excels and they have some accounting software and then they try to somehow survive in that environment. And what happens that people work in quite separated way in the departments and don't communicate with each other, only with the emails. So this is the problem we are solving at how to streamline the production.
Yeah. So for people who are not quite familiar with the manufacturing process, so you just mentioned that in a manufacturing facility, departments are not interacting with each other. So let's name a couple just so that people understand more or less.
So Eziil approach, we are focusing to the project-based metal producers. So what does it mean? If you
say it again, please. Say it again. So your focus right now is on project-based metal producers. What does it mean? What do they do? What's the final product?
Yeah, they are doing basically they are building. For example, if you go to some logistics center, basically, logistics center stands as a building on the beams. So there is the metal beams. So basically, they produce these beams, and so they are structural products. So they produce it. So every building is different. So basically, if an architect actually gets ready this building, he has this framework of beams, and then he orders that beams from producer. So the producer actually start to produce these beams, then delivers them to the site, and on site they will assemble that and then build house around that beams. So this is
there's a grid, So there's a grid with columns and so on, and all these columns we have the beams and like very often construction or development company would have, I understand, white paper kind of white paper approach, like standardized requirements just to make it more optimal and so on, right? So and so this is the customer of your customer, right? Development companies or construction companies.
Exactly. And what happens with how our customers work? Actually, they are producing these special projects, these houses made from metal structures, like structural steel. So a contractor will usually send price request to them, asking that, can you make us offer? And when they win that contract, they start to produce it. And what the producing means mainly, let's say, 4 steps. First step is actually understand what was drawn. So this means that they have to engineers have to make this very detailed way to understand how the connections work, how the beams have to be put together, and all such technical things, let's say it that way. When they are ready, then the next step is actually procurement. This means that you have to buy all these materials that is needed to actually produce it. Then if this is done, then the next step is actually producing it. So the producing it means actually fabricating, like cutting into size, drilling, bending maybe if necessary. Then usually there is a welding involved because you have to do the structure to put these structural elements to do. So there is welding, then there is a painting, and then there is a packing. And the 4th step usually is on-site assembly or erection. Like they put all these beams up over there, and then the project is ready. So as you understand, this project can be quite big. If they are building like, I don't know, 5-story building, then it can happen that they produce this project with phases. So this is something we help to do with Eziil, actually, to manage all these processes, that how this information flows from start when the contract is won until the end when it's erected in the site. So all the processes which is between, we will help them to actually arrange in Eziil.
So would you say this is like a whole suite of models and applications that your clients are using? Something like I don't know, like a Google for business, or this Microsoft to specify.
Navision, something like
it's
that.
Something like this, but specifically for manufacturing and specifically for project-based steel construction. I mean, mostly. You mentioned furniture. I remember what else? Metal, furniture, and there was a third group. Okay.
It's actually we have narrowed it down to the like project-based, because what we have seen that some of the companies or customers who are using Eziil, they're producing, for example, industry coolers. For example, it can be like the size is like a container, but there is some steel work that they have to work out these frames, etc. Then order the boilers and some motors and everything inside, so they can actually use that also for building such projects, for example. But this need to be project-based. What does it mean? Every project you start to produce is unique. There is no repetition. So this is the difference. If you take standard production, you have this iPhone, it's produced like continuously, thousand, just do it. So this is key. Every project is different. Yeah.
So this is key. It's like small volume, complex manufacturing.
Yes. The volume comes from that the quantity is one piece, for example, like one house, but the volume can be very high. For example, one of our customers is producing these bridges. You can imagine how big is the bridge. Like this is a massive project. Yes, it's one piece, but it's a hell of a big piece.
Oh yeah. And now what you're helping what? First, you need to digitize the whole process, and then
there is actually I would say there is 3 main challenges in that process. The first challenge is like the biggest challenge is like actually creating clarity. This is actually a need why they come, because they feel that when they put this, they start the production process, they don't know what's going on, how far it is, how long time it takes, are we ahead, are we behind? And this only happens, the people use this patrolling methodology. This means that the foreman is going in shop floor and just looks around where things are. And if he feels that something is out of order, he jumps in and starts to solve it. But usually it happens like there is very less planning. So this is like the first thing why they come, and what they want to solve usually to get the overview, how much projects we have, in what time we have promised them, how much capacity it takes, are we ahead or are we behind of schedule? That's the first challenge they want to solve.
So to understand how well they are doing as far as time, but also you're helping with quality, I understand at some point, and quantity, right? That's why bill of materials. This is one of the problems.
This is a little bit a different thing to solve. This is for more like, do I have the question they usually arise is, do I have all the materials to produce this project? If they have that problem, then they have to use our material requirement tool. But what you have to understand with Eziil is that it's a start to end, like end-to-end solution, which means that it's solving all the processes, but you never cannot implement all at once. That's why with Eziil we have created an approach that you can do it step by step.
Okay. Okay.
So this means that you don't overload yourself right away.
You mean in the process of implementation of Eziil suite of applications models? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is the second challenge what they feel usually. Why they don't use anything is usually because point one, it's very expensive. Point two, it's very complicated systems out there. And point three, it's enormous effort to change people's habits that they start to use some new systems. And that makes us to point four, they don't want to fail, they don't want to make a wrong decision, so they try to avoid it as long as possible. So that's the reason why they still work in Excels and not doing the choices. So we are solving that problem by actually making them smaller pieces and enabling them to implement it step by step so they can build up the confidence. I would make, if you like to think it that way, that, for example, if you are a child and you have a child and you have to put it to the first grade versus you have to put it to the school where they will give in first year all the knowledge from first grade until ninth grade at 1 year. So this is the difference what is happening in the market. We are trying to make it step by step.
Yeah. I have the privilege of knowing nothing in practice about your target kind of vertical and so on. And that's why I'm not afraid to say that it doesn't sound to me like rocket science to streamline the flow of documentation and flow of certain, like a set of data which is foreseeable, which is, you know what you need to produce and you know what your client needs to get from you. Where is the real issue? And just to understand that we have everything in mind is just to mention a couple of features of your solution is you're providing services or SaaS, right? Approach to dimensions of capacity planning, right? You mentioned this also. Purchase management, like what materials we have, what we lack, what we need, and where we buy, and so on. Progress of the work itself, and then project margins. I will ask you to give more details about this. And all of these, I'm sure this is not all, but all of these I mentioned, they are all real time, right?
Yes.
Now, where is the real challenge here? Like, I don't quite understand. Adoption by your clients is not as dynamic or quick as you would like. And it surprises me, like, where is the real issue? You mentioned like, don't want to change the ways that they used to, and so on and so on.
I will ask to answer your question. I have to ask you from the perspective, like, if you look the company in general, how all the companies have started. If you have a company with one person, it's not a challenge, because this one person takes order, does things, no problem. If you have two people, you have already communication. So it's still not a problem, because two people can drink a beer and chat and, all the problems can be solved. But put 20 people into process, coordinate them in right time with the projects that everyone is unique. And every project is different size. There can be projects that is on that size, and there can be projects that are on that size. All need to be produced. But then comes things go complex. This is this complexity rule. If you search from internet, I will recommend that someone who is thinking that is very easy, please look complexity rule, how it works actually. More you add people into process, more complex it gets. And here's the point. And you ask this where the change management issue comes. Behavioral challenges are the biggest challenges in the world. If you take behavioral challenge, for example, if we didn't have as humans behavioral challenges, we don't need at all this diet industry who is thinking out new ways of diets to change your way of eating. it's not necessary, because if you don't have behavior change challenge, you just do things differently from day one and you get different results. You don't need behavior change diets. So this is the reason.
Yeah. You were explaining this, and I made a mental note that, wow, we are talking about pretty much two down to earth situations, like hardware, steel construction. And then to make this world like shake it a little bit, you need to use the most advanced, among some of the most advanced, like psychological or sociological, or neurological even connotations and associations. Interesting.
Yeah, because this how to say this, the industry is quite old, let's say it that way. It's quite how to say, it has a long traditions, let's say it that way. Yeah. And introducing changes into that industry is also a challenge. But from that, every challenge, opposite side have a possibility. So that guy who went to the country, and one guy is writing letter that, oh my God, this is terrible, nobody is wearing shoes. And the other guy is writing down that, oh my God, it's such an opportunity, nobody is wearing shoes. So it's a mindset thing. So we see this as a possibility because the people in that industry is getting older. So the newer people are coming into that industry. They are more open to that changes. And the same digitalization wave will happen in that industry also, because it's unavoidable, because new people, like younger people, they already come with a digital knowledge, and they are not wanting to work that way, that you have like thousands Excels, and when you have to start your work, the first thing what you have to do, scan about 1,000 Excels, copy your own Excel version of that, then look all your emails, update your Excel, and then maybe you can make some work also today. So they don't want to do such stupid way of work. They want to work smarter, and that's why they are, how to say, open to digitalizing that processes.
Yeah, okay, Maido. So I understand the challenge is how, like, the implementation is not that obvious and so on, but with this in mind, you do have some implementations, right, already? So tell me,
yes,
mention a couple of examples with names of clients or without, doesn't matter. A couple of examples where you managed to implement, like and take me through the process of, should we say, like sales process, basically, and then adoption, implementation. Where were the real bottlenecks beyond what we mentioned already, and how did you manage to break through those?
Yeah, it's like, what was the biggest learning points for us, let's say it that way, to add value, is this, that accepting the customer growth stage. What does it mean as a startup, as like company who have investors are backing? So you get this, how to say, need or demand to make month-over-month growth more than 15%. So you try to reach on that point. On that, then you start to like rush them too quickly. So thing that we have learned is this, that in our industry, people need time. The company might be not in right level yet on starting that digitalization. So you need to rise his level of knowledge about digitalization over the long period of time. And it can take even 24 months, even some cases. But some cases are really ready. And this is the thing that we are actually now focusing on, how to identify people who are so ready to order that you just make a demo with them and they're ready to start. And we have tried to find the approaches how we can identify these people. So this is the real gold mine, if you can do that with your startup, basically.
And how did you manage to implement with your first couple of clients? What was
the first couple of clients is
effective?
Close, hands-on, go on site, do it yourself. So the first customers was you just if you take like in first you start with a vision. So we had already some early ideas of the product, and we had some working like prototypes, but we didn't have this as a like a ready product. So the first customers we got was basically on vision. So I went on site, I draw the vision on the whiteboard. Actually, I was looking innovators who are ready to jump into my vision, willing to pay on that. That proves that this challenge is something serious and someone is ready to pay for solving that. And then we actually created business around that. But in one point, you have to make phase transition and understand that you have a clear product, and this product as is have to create value. You cannot add a lot of stuff additionally more into product that everybody is asking. So you have to like very clearly frame your offering and then offer that specific understanding that what you are doing. So this was another level of challenge than after when we went from this prototype to actually real product, like which is working and resellable, that we can sell repeatedly.
Yeah. But I will come back to this question. So how did you manage to break through this opposition and this resistance from the industry players and actually implement your first, implement with the first clients? What do you think helped your clients? Yeah.
I think the number one thing is founder energy.
Okay.
So if you are a founder, for me, for example, I come from the also production industry. I have been producer myself, so I can speak the language they speak. So if they speak about missed deadlines, I know the pain of being that it's Friday, today is a deadline, and we are not there where we should be. I know that feeling. I know that feeling that you cannot go home. I know that feeling you have to go to the production site and actually convince some people to stay on weekend to work longer. I know that feeling I have to be myself also in that weekend. Yeah. And I know that feeling that I have to call home to my wife and say that, sorry, this weekend I cannot be with the family. We have to push that project that is late. So knowing that gives me like, how to say, I know what problem I'm solving. I have felt that. I have done that. And this is something what makes this connection click with these people. They understand me and I am understanding them, and then they are willing to step to on my vision and try it out. So this is how I got my first customers when we speak on very early stage, which was like 4 years back or something like that.
Mm-hmm. How many clients do you have now?
At the moment we have about 50 clients, so we don't. And this is one of the knowledge I gained also on the way. So if you are making business-to-business software, which is long implementation cycles, you cannot rush ahead of things. What does it mean? This means that change take time, and we are changing company culturally. And if you look one company and you want to change the company culture, then it takes time. And it takes time to get them the results they need. But from other side of that is long lifetime value and actually upsales that you can like longer, and you have like this resell model. You can actually, it's much easier to sell to the customer who trusts you than actually sell to the customer who doesn't trust you. And building this as a repeated process has been for us like main challenge, I will say.
When I say upselling, you mean you start with one model and then you expand to others, okay? And what's the ideal or the most optimal model for clients, let's say now, of all that we discussed?
Yeah, it starts actually from philosophy. My philosophy is always this, that I follow 3 rules. First is systematization. If things are not systematic, you are not like right place. It needs to be systematic. When the things are systematic, then it's need to be possible to delegate it. So this means that you can forward it to someone else and he can do that work. And then when this is done and this is working, then we can start automating things. If you avoid these philosophical rules and you jump without systemizing, you jump to automatization, you will automate disaster. And that's why the most startups actually die before they actually mature, is this because they scale too fast. The name for that is scaling too fast. They scale to death. So my approach, because of that, Eziil first product we sell to customer is for engineers.
Yeah.
This is this bill of material, bill of operation that enables them to systemize all the project information. And what does mean systemize all the project information is this: take this one big building, for example, this 7-floor building, put all this, import all this from Tekla, from SolidWorks, import into that Eziil, then actually put drawings, or connect automatically drawings into right lines, say how you plan to produce it, and what type of materials you are planning to use for producing it. And then from that, you can start flowing information to procurement. Then you can start flowing information to production, and so then you can start planning like your schedule, your capacities, and so on. But this systematization is a first block you have to achieve. If you don't achieve it as a customer, you will churn, and it's end of story for you. Let's say it that way.
You mentioned philosophy and philosophical kind of changes, and this is also, it sounds very logical what you say, but I suggest we switch from P&L philosophy and logic to P&L profit and loss. If you don't mind, and now tell me, those 50 clients, all of them are now paying clients, and what's the pricing,
yes,
the pricing strategy you have for the model? I understand probably a different level of implementation with all those clients, but take me through pricing for somebody who has all the key models implemented.
So the pricing really depends on time. What does it mean?
Yeah.
If someone joined in the beginning, we didn't have so much functionality, and we didn't have also the very good idea of pricing. So I would say that is the right pricing is for us at the moment in MVP phase. so that it's really important to understand that all these things are not like fixed and like carved into stone. They are evolving on time. Yeah. But in general, our minimum price is about 300 euros. So we don't start less than 300 euros because our product is adding so much value and is so valuable that we don't have point to serve less than that. So this is like our base price. And from that, it actually goes up step by step and can go even to some customers can pay even 5.5K or something like that. So it's really like depends on the maturity, how far they are, how big they are, how much they are using, etc., etc. So this really depends.
So we can safely say.
But we are still seeking for right pricing model because this is an endless journey. The market is changing, new competitors, all these things are happening, the prices are increasing, and so people, for example, very good point, the people salaries are raising, the materials are raising. If we help people to save 10% of the workday, that they can or make even bigger turnover, then this can add more value, and then we can ask more price. The price is irrelevant of value. And
in a minute or so,
a very good model that I have found is this calculating the price value from this, that how much value you can bring to company, and if you can calculate it out, it should be 4x is minimum. So 4x if I ask for 4x is so this is a minimum. The best will be somewhere 10 and above. But the point is this, that every customer, even if you show him okay, you pay 300 euros, take it, you will save 300 euros. He was, I I don't know, like it's a hassle to change my processes, etc. I don't feel like it. If you can show him like minimum 1.2K, you can save from that, and it's cost you 300 euros per month. Then he starts to think that, okay, even if you are lying to me twice, but I already see that it's a higher value for me, I will do it. So this is how you take down this like a friction in sales, that they will buy it. But then you have to know what is the value and how much they save. And this comes very lot of industry, company size, and these things play in very big role into that decision.
And yes or no, did you manage to calculate this value that the clients have from?
Yes, some of them, but some of them are really like hypothetical, I would say. What does it mean? They have, before us, they had a mess. It's really hard to compare with the mess. They don't have any metrics or any data. I cannot make side-by-side comparison. So that's why it takes time. If they first year implement, they make a cost, they don't earn yet profit. So the next year, they will maybe start to use more, the friction goes down. So then they start to earn profit. So minimum, it takes 2 years them to see actual impact.
Clear. Maido, great. Yes, thanks. Let's move on to round two, the competitors. How crowded is this space, you would say, and how the competitive landscape changed from like 3-4 years ago?
I would say it's not so competitive because it's quite complex industry, and it's quite, you have to be endurance type of person, having like quite the will to do that, because like I said, you have to wait long for the results, and it's not so attractive for everybody to do such complex things. And there is some players which are like monstrums, legacy products like Strumis or Tekla Power Fab or some things, but they are quite like big and heavy. We are more concentrating to smaller companies which have like 10 until maybe 60 people or something like that. And for them, this type of products is unreachable. It's too big, too heavy, too complex, etc. And we are serving that industry. So it's not so crowded. So that's why we actually choose specifically that market spot where we can be very specific, focused, very knowledgeable, really like top of the game, let's say it that way.
And I understand also focusing on smaller companies just because they might be more mobile and dynamic mentally, right? To open up.
And this the same thing what I spoke earlier, this habit change, people habit change. When they are smaller, they are more agile. They are more willing to make that changes. And there is actually a second thing also. If they are smaller, they want to grow. If they want to grow, this means that they have to take new people in. If they take new people in, that will stress the current process they already have. What means it will create the problem in the process, because with Excel and several things. So this means it's a good entrance point for us. And if we enter in right timing, we actually make this all transparent and replanable, and the company can grow on that, then we will grow with our customers. So this means this upsell strategy and long lifetime values.
Yeah, so I understand one of the ideal scenarios for you for business development would be there's one small manufacturing facility and they want to expand and grow, and you are accompanying them in the very process of opening or setting up a second facility. Maybe they try the model or two, like half, like 20% of your capacity or capabilities, and they say, what the heck, let's try. We want to be really effective. If anything, we will always be able to get back to old ways. Is this true?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, this is true. Because this is the really, like, you have to understand the scale they have. All the business they are doing stands on the processes what we trying to destroy with our system. It's so you understand this is a lifeline. This is like changing your heart, let's say it that way. So that's why it's a complex and hard challenge. They have to do it. So that's why they need to more secure way to lean into that process. And our secure way is starting in R&D and in this draftsman's area, where they make a drawings and they prepare the bill of material and systemize information, because these guys, they are quite familiar with the computers, because they use Tekla, they use SolidWorks, they use AutoCAD, they know how computer works, they like technical stuff already. Otherwise, they would not work on that on that job, let's say it that way. So that's why we are starting from there. And then when the customer builds up trust, like, I like what I'm seeing here. It's a systematic. I have an overview. I understand what we are doing. What you can give me next is the question, what we are looking for.
Maido, off-topic kind of question here. What do you think is the biggest opportunity right now for you, for business development, that you are not able to utilize, and why?
That's a good question. The thing I mentioned in the sales cycle is using marketing to allocate the people who are ready to buy it. They have the pain already. They know what does it like feel to make this wrong way. They want to systemize and they are ready to buy. How to locate them worldwide digitally? This is the biggest problem, like challenge for us. And we are not using that fully enough to actually how to locate them and how to find them.
Okay. Have you tried through educational kind of dimension? So you put together a, I don't know, webinar or something which is online.
We have tried certain approaches. We have our own webinar process. So we built up a webinar process. We have used that. But still, I see that the webinar is one part of that. If they look the webinar, I understood that some of the customers' webinar is too early. They just sign up, but they don't arrive on the webinar. So this means it's too early. It's already too big block to digest. Let's say it that way. They need something easier, more simple before that they can like maybe read some case study or maybe watch some small occasional tip or something like that. They need something easier that is digestible before they are ready to watch like a 45 minutes webinar. So this is what I have seen.
Okay. Maido, let's move on. Round 3 now. A quick Q&A, meaning just one question and one answer predominantly. What would you share with us as your key strategies to stay focused and productive, and that you could call productivity hacks as a busy founder?
Okay. The best productivity hack that I have found is slowing down.
So festina lente, yeah. So hurry by being slow, or something like this.
Yeah.
This is this letter.
But I have to explain that because it's a quite like irrational like thing. But the point is actually this: when you are actually in the startup environment, there is always more work to be done than time to do it. Always. So since as a founder, I have a great capability of doing a lot of things, but actually I need space to actually cool down and make a choice what I will do next versus react on things that is on my task list. I need space to think about that. And this is not thinking from the head. It's like feeling. I have to feel what is the right thing and right course of actions. So this is something I will recommend as a productivity hack, that maybe do less.
I see. I mean, it's a way of saying that prioritization is still the rule of thumb for being productive. And okay, interesting.
Absolutely.
So it's like if you're in a whirlpool of everyday calendar kind of initiated to do things, fires and fires and hires and whatnot, take sometimes, by the hair out of this whirlpool and look at it from a side and see what is expected of you as the founder, right? In this case.
Yes, this is good point. This is detachment. You have to detach from this current activity or normal doing what you do every day. And this is just saying that that are you working in the machine or on top of the machine. So usually you get locked in the machine and not seeing the big picture. And in the end, when you, in some point, you get into the big picture mode and, oh my God, we are absolutely in the wrong direction. Already 365 days. it's quite
halfway of the distance of the falling down, right? Already. It's like you realize it's not a decline, it's a fall down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
you're right. It's like
need,
as a founder, you need to like clear vision sometimes to understand that if you're working too much in the company, then you're losing the strategic kind of targets and horizon. Just to say, so don't mix it up. You're working, of course, you work in the company lots of time, but then sometimes you have to realize that basically your goal and key contribution is working on the company, right? Like improving it and so on and so on. Wow, interesting. Okay.
Yep, that I will recommend.
Simple truth, so not simple, so difficult to realize in reality, right?
Yes, absolutely. Cool. And I had to use real force to do that. Actually, it's so, with great power comes great responsibility. And this is exactly what's happening as a founder, because you have capabilities of doing so much things. And now you have to ask why I'm doing it at all in the first place, because in the end, I will get burned out if I do everything. In the end, I will discourage others if I will always jump and micromanage in the processes. So you need to understand that why I'm doing that, or to whom I'm doing that, what I'm doing. And when you can figure out that puzzle, it's not this way that you figure out with half an hour. You will figure out with trial and error. That's the point. You have to do to understand.
Funny you mentioned micromanagement here. I want to expand a little bit. Now, how would you react to a situation where a company like yours even really depends on some best practices and standards and processes, standardized processes in the company? And let's say there are two dimensions. This is like the back end, what the founder or CEO or owner of the company wants, what kind of standards the founder, owner, CEO wants to maintain, just because he or she has much more time spent and experience gathered in a specific industry. And so he or she creates these procedures, standards, best practices, whatever. And once the whole team not only understand, but also use this in everyday activities, and then on top of that, whatever is going on the front line, on the front end with client in the market, you use all your creativity, IQ, the street smart, whatever, but all of that based on foundations here. The way we interact, with our databases or CRM, what types of nodes we introduce, what types of documents leave the company, quality, quantity, and so on and so on and so on. And then you see that your team does not follow these rules of best practices and so on at some point. And then from strategic level, from like frontline kind of interaction with clients, market, and so on, you need to get down and then check, piece by piece, beat by beat of these best practices that you spend so much time on, and you are religiously, religiously kind of supporting them and thinking that this is the best solution for your company, which might be the case as well. How would you not micromanage in such a situation?
It's there's only one advice that I can do as a person is actually holding up interest to understand why they are doing that way. Because if I'm fixed mindset, I will go my way or no way. Like then I'm already myself locked and I'm not learning myself. And if I am doing that way, then my people are doing exactly the same way. Now comes the tricky part. If I now learn what they are doing and how they are doing, and I'm confident that my version is better, but I'm not telling them and just leave them to do whatever they're doing, then I can do only this when I want them to experience the outcome of this doing. you imagine, because you can get there really, when you was child, basically it works exactly the same way. Your parents gave you the advices. Did you follow them? Exactly. You needed your own experience. You needed your own experience, how this actually works out. Then you're actually, I don't want that from life. I will step back and I will make a different way. So as a manager, you have to understand what is the outcome of such behavior. That if it's not like falling down the world, let's say it that way, that maybe he or she needs that experience, let it be, just recap it, revisit, use one-on-ones to come back to that and ask how it went. And maybe and not with the mindset that you want to prove him, I said to you that, not with that mindset, then you will destroy that person. You go with the mindset to learn yourself what happened. You want to get some new knowledge to yourself also. And this is how I have seen that it works really well. But it's always, like you said, it's easy to say it, hard to do it.
Yeah, interesting. It's like when there's a fresh lawn, let's say, and we want to make paths, right? Like asphalt paths. The engineering approach would be, so here is fresh grass and so on, and we produce like paths like this, right? No advertisement, no. And we produce paths like this. But then if you let alone, don't create your own asphalt paths, users will create different paths by themselves, which is usually more effective, right? Like cutting the corners and so on and so on. You know this story. This could be translated into business environment as well, of course, provided there's this shortcut that the team, let's say members and so on, provide really better solutions than yours.
And it's really hard. It's really hard to open yourself as a founder because you have a vision and you understand what you want to outputs, etc. It's really hard to hold yourself humble to still learn it, these shortcuts. Let's say it that way. But this is something that
learn from somebody else. Yeah, this is interesting.
Yes, you have to bring that culture yourself, because as a founder, if I'm not doing myself that way, then I can promise you all the people down me also not doing the same way. They are following me. I'm the biggest blocker. So that's why it's very important as a founder that I have to understand myself very well, how I work, and change the processes that doesn't help from my behavioral patterns, that doesn't help to grow the company.
Agreed. And then with time, team members will depend more and more on the founder, who is like apologetic and like that total control freak and so on and so on. More and more will depend on his or her decisions. And then with time, there will be frustration because why I'm the founder, I work so hard and so on, and I cannot take a 1 week holiday or something else just because everybody is dependent on you, and this is the culture that you introduced. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
We could go on forever. Maido, let's move on.
Yeah.
Round 4 company. Now, the company was founded, in 2016, I understand?
Yes.
Among founders, we have Maido Janke, CEO, the founder, Kaido Karu, Tita Remel, right? And all of you guys are not fresh graduates from the university.
No. We all come from the production side, actually. We have been all in the productions.
For like 15 and more years, right?
Yes.
Would you say No, that's an obvious question. Would it help? Did it help you or not? I understand yes, but we'll discuss maybe a little bit more about your age group, which is not quite within the mainstream, like startup founder and so on. In the next round, about where we will discuss about financing and investment history. But now, as far as the company, so 3 founders. You have advisors from renowned companies as well. What about the whole team? How many people you have in the team right now?
12 at the moment.
12. So you are using your your own logic as far as mathematics. X is the fee you take from the clients, and 4x is the amount of value, and you have almost the same. The team of founders is 1x, and the whole team is like 4x as well. This is how you find
Good
value
catch.
for your own founding team. Cool. Now, how is the team divided right now as far as the structure? Like, where do you have biggest brain power now invested, and what are the bottlenecks for a company like yours? Yeah.
We have very small sales team because we play the game of referrals. So this means that we are reaching into that point where the customer is super happy and he starts to recommend us the customers. It's a long play. It's not a fast way and quick way, but it's I believe it's a most sustainable way how to make that type of business and changes in old industry, which is quite how to say fixed.
Conservative.
The biggest most of people are in development area because they're developing integrations and making better versions of the product, and the next biggest team is implementation and actually product team, which are working together actually, because when the product master or the product owner have to actually implement that on site, he understands how they work, how the logic works, how to make it smoother, how to avoid frictions, etc. So this will is most beneficial. And if you ask the bottlenecks, biggest bottleneck is marketing, and it actually leads to that challenge what we earlier spoke, because marketing is, and actually sales also, because both of these areas are long investments, let's say it that way. You put people into work in that areas and you probably start earning money back in 12 months or 24. After 24 months, you get your core up and it's bringing more money in. So it's that's why it's when you are in cash flow positive, try to be in cash flow positive, then it's hard to make that type of investments.
Yeah. Okay. Clear.
And,
are you looking for new people now? And if yes, what roles?
We are a bit not really actually looking new people at the moment, because we have quite clear strategy what we are implementing at the moment. Probably open for salespeople in UK, because there we have some of the customers and we want to extend that market region. So this is something what we are open to speak.
While we're here, by the way, what's the geography of your client base right now? So you mentioned the UK, I understand Estonia or somewhere else, somebody else in the Baltics. Yes. Where else are you present now?
We are mainly focusing in 2 markets, is this Estonia and UK, because we can have like different boots on the ground, but somewhere you have to hold your focus if you have a small team, because if you divide your focus around the world, it's already gets foggy. So that's why we have been focusing on 2 markets. Estonia, because it's close, it's really easy, like make prototypes very quickly, and UK because it's quite big, it's English-speaking country, and actually if you take English-speaking countries in the world, there is a lot of them, and they have quite similar mindset as Estonians, and time difference only 2 hours. Very good.
Yeah. Plus several flights a day. I understand. I suppose.
That helps. That helps.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, been there. So, yeah, cool, interesting. Let's move on, Maido. Round 5, Formula F3, but not full strength family. It's funding for the future. But before future, what's your history, investment history by now?
So we have raised the seed fund, or pre-seed fund is correctly to say. And we have been, this valley of death. In every journey, every startup has this valley of death. Just about 12 months ago, we came from that, actually having to lay off about 70% of our people. So, and it was quite, hard personally as a founder, because all these people you have been growing together and then you have to let them go. So it was really hard, but our decision was this, that we want to get to cash flow positive, and we at the moment we are in cash flow positive situation. So we are planning to raise next round of money around Q3 in 2023, next year.
Okay.
So then we will start to raise the seed round.
And what's the planned volume? I mean, amount of investment that you will be trying to raise?
It's really interesting question, actually, that how people get this number. It's actually, the market situation is one thing, but another thing is how much free money is in the market. And actually, what we take as a principle is this: how much one customer cost for us. And this is like a customer acquisition cost, and how much it costs for us to digest that customer. So what does it mean? If we can buy that customer, that means that we can make a marketing what is needed, we can make a sales work that is needed. Then we have to also be able to transform the change that is needed in that customer. So this customer will be happy, and then this customer will recommend to others in that industry, and we can get our flywheel working. So this means that we have to raise enough money to buy these customer acquisition cost and implement them also to get the happy customers. So this is the amount, but this really depends on the point where we get on that time. I had some plans, but I see that these plans are realizing quicker than I planned, and now I have a decision: do I bring the investment point earlier, or I actually hold it over there and bring bigger results in like better results and better traction into that investment and raise more money? So this is like, this is like founders' problems, how to design the investment batch.
Interesting. And so now the question that I wanted to ask, whether or not with the pre-seed round, the fact that founding team has 15 plus years of experience in the industry, quite directly, that you're not like 25, 28, something like guys ready to put in like 35 hours per day and jumping to the sky with all the hopes and excitement and not very experienced and ready to sign almost everything, paying venture capital dictates them, and so on and so on. Did this help, or would you say there's any downside to this?
It depends on the viewpoint. It depends on what the investor values. If investor values this type of people who will work themselves to death because they don't know that they are doing that, then they value the younger people because they need that experience. What does it mean? If he values the people who have done that and have learned from that and
Yeah.
actually know how to grow the company sensible way because they have a life knowledge, they have the experience.
Yeah.
Then they will invest in us. So it's a viewpoint, what the investor is looking for. So easy it is.
Yeah, yeah. Maido, so that was an interesting conversation. I wish you find the relevant investor who would value your lifelong experience, you could say as well. And today we also discussed with Maido the competitive advantage and pricing policy and whatnot. And I hope our listeners gained some insights from this conversation, and we encourage them to check out your website, I understand, which is updated regularly. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you.